Hello and welcome to High Point Music's Gear Reviews. I'm Lewis and today I'm going to be showing you all the cool, weird stuff you can do with the Boss SYB-5. Now previously we have shown the SYB-5 and I went through most of its basic functions with the bass guitar. However, I think some of the biggest advantages of a pedal like this for a guitarist or a bass player using a few other effects to be able to blend it in and create some amazing soundscapes, either very subtle or very obvious, but to really maximize the power of your riffs and your sound. You can manipulate it quite a bit with this pedal. I like this pedal because of how compact it is. It's very easy to use. It has the blending feature that I really like, so you can dial in our clean or our distorted tones, or our clean and our wet tones, depending on which mode you're using, very easily. It does come standard with an expression pedal connection. I'm not using it at the moment because I can manipulate the way this pedal reacts using some other pedals that I've got here. So I think that's very useful, but I'm not going to use it in the video today. So there you go, it's compact, it's got a bunch of modes, it's easy to use. They're very inexpensive pedals, Boss pedals, and they're very reliable. So that makes it a great candidate for making some pretty amazing noises and riff monsters. So I'm going to show you what it can do in the context of my pedal board and go from there. For a bit of a run through on the pedal board, show you what I'm doing. Let's just try and dry that out a little bit. I'm of course playing my Fender Stratocaster. My signal flow is I'm going from the guitar to my input module. This is a buffer, just gives me my frequency response nice and good. I'm then going into the compressor, the POG, into the Mobius, which is our modulation pedal from Strymon, out of the Mobius through the Paramix and my Lely switcher. These pedals just represent distortion or overdrive pedals I would have on the board, and I use an external cable to run out to the Boss SYB-5. We're coming then back out of the Lely through our 2 notes Leclean, so I can use the overdrive channel in that as my distortion pedal. Back out of the Leclean into the Mobius, our timeline, doing some tape delays and cool stuff, spring reverb, and then our Boss RV5 digital reverb pedal there as well. Back through the Leclean's effects loop off to our recording system. So a much more complicated setup than what I normally use, but in the process of context, I think this will give us a great way to show what a guitarist with some delay modulation pedals can do with the Boss SYB-5. You heard a little bit of that in the intro, so I'm going to jump in and make some sounds with it and show you what it can do. So in the Boss SYB-5 video I made using the bass guitar, I explained that the SYB-5 is a synth pedal. It generates analog synthesizer-like sounds from your instrument signal hitting it. The sounds themselves do vary. Their sounds modulate based on how much dynamics you use. So you can really use your pick to control the responding sound coming out of the pedal very easily. You do have a lot of options as far as modes concerned and control over the frequency and resonance of what happens. The best way to explain what it does is just to show you. So I'm just going to activate the channel that has the SYB-5 on in it and run through a couple of settings. And something a little bit different. Pretty cool little swell sound on that one. And when you do dial the effect at about 12 o'clock and our dry signal all the way down, you just get that swell sound. Just taking a little while to get through that cycle of the sound, but you can get some pretty cool stuff. Like so. reasonably unusual sounds from a guitar. So I would normally use this with other effects. I think combining pedals gets you the ability to create some really unique sounds. Don't forget to check out the SYB-5 review I did with the bass guitar. It'll give you a much better idea of the modes and the different sounds you can get out of each of those modes. I'm going to gloss over a few of them today and just pick the ones that I think work with the other effects for this particular example. You can get more information there or on our blog if you want to. So let's jump in, let's put some delay and some reverb on and make some noises with this thing. I'm going to start out by picking a sound from this pedal, and then I'm going to make it sound a bit thicker, make it sound a bit wider using some delay. So, a little bit of squelch there. When you throw some tape delay on, so, I'm just going to punch my reverb content up a little bit using the RV5. Some kind of haunting lead sounds if I use my neck pickup as well. The SYB-5 doesn't track all the way up the fretboard, which is worth commenting on. When you are playing through, you're going to go and get to that C sharp, and our frequency drops off. So you want to keep all of you're playing probably below that C sharp. You could integrate that into your notes. Maybe you would play a lick up here and then move back down into the range of the pedal. Something like... It just misses those notes completely. So to integrate that, you might run a little bit more of your clean tone in. So you could get some effect and some clean signal just by using that range to your advantage. So I'm going to grab another delay now, and I'm going to pick one that has some good, weird qualities. Reverse solo. You can hear it has that little bit of backspin there to it. And we only have effects, so I'm going to dial some mix into that. Gives you some great options there. If we just make that fully reverse, you can get some really long notes. Like so. If that's a bit too obvious, there's a bit too much of that effect there, you can just dial that mix back. So we get back to our clean tone, so to speak. And I'll just hear that filter there in the background. So it'd be kind of cool for some washed out sounds. just that nice little constant noise in the background, almost as though there's a loose connection there. Pretty cool way to soften a sound out, particularly if you then went from your effect back to your clean tone, and then leaving some of those other effects on will allow you to get a really nice transition from one point to the other. So let's grab another mode on the SYB. Some distortion and some delay. We could be using this to create some single note runs. Like so, all the delay tails and that come through. You could then pretty easily move that into a longer note, and when you do let that note ring out, the bass synthesizer is going to manipulate your tone that way. So now I'm in mode 2. I'm going to use this to generate some signal to run a wah-wah filter over. I'm using the wah in the Mobius, and it is after the bass synth for making cool sounds like this. So by using the wah-wah filter, we're effectively letting only a certain amount of signal out. This is a great way for taming some of the crazy if you're careful with how far forward your toe position sits. Sounds kind of like the Doctor Who theme. I think that's pretty cool. So a really cool way to control that effect, and most people will have access to a wah-wah pedal. You don't have to use something as crazy as the Strymon. The other great thing the Mobius does is it has some cool modulation sounds. So what we get is this washed out kind of tone from the Destroyer mode on here, and when you combine that with the effects available on the synth pedal, pick another mode, something also modulated is kind of cool. It's going to be a pretty spooky kind of sound. Especially with all that extra reverb. We do get some other cool modulation options with something like vibrato as well. So again, back to that kind of haunting sound. I think it works really, really well for those ambient tones, particularly when you know how to control your effect mix and your sensitivities, just to make sure it's going to be weird and in the background and not weird and in your face, unless of course that's what you want to go for. So there's a few more options we can do here. I'm going to pick 2 more settings and that'll wrap us up. I think we should do something a bit faster now. So I'm just going to kill my Strymons from doing anything too crazy. So I'll get something a little more ambient dialed up. And then as far as our modulation goes, I really liked the sound of that vibrato. Again, very splatty, very dark kind of riff, but add some cool percussion-like effect to your signal. Something like that. Maybe if you're doing a bit of an R&B, a bit of a hip-hop kind of thing, you want those nice short stabs to let the other parts of your music flow and really create some cool contrast. So it really allows you to change what you're doing and get some really different sounds. If I just turn that off, the sound is pretty different. To what you would otherwise get. So by adding that one pedal in, you're going to get different sounds out of your delay, different sounds out of all of your modulation effects, different sounds out of your wah, different sounds out of your distortions. It really, really opens up the field as far as the sounds you can get and what you can do as a guitarist. You don't have to be sitting there strumming along. You could just be making what I fondly refer to as frilly guitar noises. All those little bits of layers and production value you can add to a song to help create mood that doesn't actually involve you making guitar sounds. You're not picking blues riffs, you're not playing rock riffs, you're not chunking away on some metal distortion pedal. You really got a scope of changing the way the music is heard and really making it very, very interesting, not just for you to play, but for the audience to listen to as well. And I think that multiplying the sounds you can get out of a fairly regular pedal board is incredibly good value for money. Just quickly on the topic of distortions, I thought I'd grab a dirty patch with the Clean and do some kind of riff that we can use. I've just picked the very last mode here on the Boss SYB-5 and I've set it to make this sort of sound through the Clean. Just a pretty brutal kind of sound. I'm going to throw some rotary cabinet on here from the Mobius because it's one of my favorite effects. maybe we dial that down a bit. So it's got that cool organ-ish kind of sound just by adding that little bit of rotary on to get that great riff option, but in a more guitar friendly or guitar familiar context. So that's basically my run through on the SYB-5. It's a really, really cool way to get you out of your playing. And I think that's what makes it such a great tool for guitarists, is that by plugging this one pedal in, you're going to change the way you approach the guitar, and that's a really good thing. Anything that motivates you to think about things differently, or to perform differently, or play differently, to search for new ideas, that's got to be as good as it gets as a musician. So I find it a pretty inspiring set of sounds that you can use with an existing pedal board to really sharpen your chops up and make the music that you're making just that little bit more interesting for you and the audience. As far as the guitar is concerned, even though it's a bass guitar pedal, I think that's an absolute win. You do have that small limitation of that C sharp on the fretboard, that it won't process a note over that C sharp. However, if you're playing around that and you're being careful with the notes you play and the range you play in, that's not necessarily a problem. You could run a pitch shifter after this to get some upper register if you wanted to. That wouldn't be very difficult to do, and then you would get those filtered sounds up the octave. You just need a little bit of practice to get it to do so. If you are interested in making some of these cool, crazy, weird noises, you can follow the link below to pick yourself up a Boss SYB-5. Doing this kind of pedal demo would not be possible without our 2 notes LaClean. So if you haven't seen the video on that, head over and check that one out, because it is a really, really cool pedal and allows us to plug all this crazy stuff in and use it in a functional system where we're not making that much noise. It's a perfect setup for being used at home, and yeah, it really allows you the time to jump in and make the sounds that you want to with the SYB-5. I am just using delay and modulation. You will find links in our stores for these pedals and other pedals like that. Any of the delays or reverbs or modulations we've had on the channel would work well with this pedal. It's all about just spending the time to learn the settings and really get familiar with the pedal. So again, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to head over to our YouTube channel, our Facebook, our Instagram. Give us a like, a subscribe, a share, all of that positive feedback we really do appreciate. If there's something you'd like to see on the channel, or you've got questions and comments about this pedal board or just the SYB-5 in particular, you can leave those below. If the value of this video is worth something to you, that you want to see more of it and you want to be part of those amazing people that help us to do what we do, you can head over and become a Patreon member for High Point Music, where you'll get some really, really cool content that'll help you make the most of your guitar playing. As always, I'm Lewis. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.